The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast.
If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks. Hi, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to have Kasper with me. Hello, Kasper. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. And we were chatting just before we came on air about your job title. And you said what you were the chief clown officer, chief creative officer, chief commercial officer.
Yeah, that's the great part, right? I'm the CCO, so you can pretty much decide whatever that stands for. So
Okay. And your company is called Zite, and again, you're in the creative sector. Tell everybody what it is that you do and what a typical client looks like.
So we built in-house creative teams or in-house creative agencies. So within a company, we set up the resources and all the boring stuff, the processes and tools that enables companies to have creative processes, creative advertising people next to them in the office. What was the other question?
No, that's a typical client. That was the other.
Oh, we don't have that. That's the weird thing. We keep looking for similarities, but we have everything from car brands to big industrial things to a newspaper. So I think we figured out there are kind of two similarities. So either it's complexity. So when we have the big industrial making pumps for people's houses and for industries and so on, that's the complexity of many languages, many platforms, also being able to understand complex business relationships. For some of them, it's like business to business to business to consumer. So a lot of those in betweens, understanding the whole value chain. So that's one of the things that kind of goes across is complexity in markets, languages, and so on. And the other one is speed. So when, let's say we have a agency running Land Rover and Jaguar and so on, and when, for instance, Tesla is introducing a new model or they're lowering the price, we have to be very agile in the way we work. So we have to come up with a creative campaign that same day that we can run based on, things. So it's kind of those two things. But apart from that, it's surprisingly diverse.
That's a really interesting model. So from a nuts and bolts business perspective, those people who are working internally for your clients, do you pay them direct? They're your employees? Yeah, okay.
So I pay them, and it's kind of my role to, that's why I called me the chief clown officer. It's also my role to travel between them and make sure, they are equally fit for coming up with creative concepts. And that's one of the things. I've been running in-house agencies for not a lot of companies, a couple of companies before we started this. And one of the things I realized was that you kind of grow into this. You get this echo chamber, silo effect where you're in a company, so you don't really, maybe you're not up to speed on what's happening, and kind of dry out in creatively because you're not constantly provoked and you don't work with other clients and so on. So it's kind of my role to teach and help and assist on coming up with new things.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fascinating. It's one of the things as a business coach and consultant and our other coaches find is because we deal with so many diverse businesses, we take one idea from a completely random business and it will work beautifully in something that's totally unrelated.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right that gathering of ideas and inspiration from elsewhere really stops you from getting stale, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can imagine that's like 100 times more important for the creative department of a business.
And yeah, things keep moving, and you get ideas from this and that, and when you're just in one position, you kind of, I mean, I've been there, so I know you end up saying, oh, we did this the last time, let's just do that again. And so there's a lot of advantages of being in-house and next to the business and just working, 20 meters down the hall and say, let's go to the creative, let's do something fast and now. But there's also, pitfalls and downsides of being complacent and not challenging things. So it's finding that balance that's
Yeah, it
interesting.
sounds like you've got the best of all worlds for your clients there. And do they, once they've got that in-house team who kind of, I love the hybrid nature of it, kind of in-house but out-house at the same time. Does that business then still need to go to an external agency for anything else, or, can it all be done in-house?
It depends, but normally we say yes. So normally the in-house agencies they have a lead agency that sometimes they need to challenge things and come up with brand new identities or visual identities or new brand campaigns and so on. And we can help some way, but normally the people we hire in are the craftsmen. That's the people who know the bits and pieces and know all the tools, and they are really good copywriters and art directors, creative designers, but they're not necessarily the great concept development people,
Yeah,
because you don't need those every day. So it's that balance. So normally we say yes, but by that end on an idea, buy the idea, buy the things that you can't have in house, buy that externally, and then whenever you have the corner flag set, so to speak, then you can do the things yourself, and you can call in me and some of the travel team creatives that can jump between agencies and help them work with that.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you kind of rotate those in-house teams to keep them fresh?
No.
Okay.
So no, so actually they are pretty locked to the site, but
Okay.
we do have what we used to call a travel team
Yeah.
that now we call them on-site agents, but that that can travel between. So whenever you have, we're in Scandinavia, so we have a lot of maternity leave for 9 months or a year or something like that.
We all
Uh,
dream of that here. And the Americans don't know what that looks like. So,
no, I know my sister lives in the US, so it's a week or something like that, two
yeah.
weeks maybe.
Yeah. If you
Uh,
look,
so, So for peak periods, special tasks, illness, or something like that, we have people we can bring in on very short notice that knows the brand, so they are already onboarded in the brand and tools and so on. And we try to keep the processes the same across. I mean, it is different businesses, but in reality, what I experienced when I started out working in house and switching to the next job and the next one was that 80-90% of the processes of how to do things are the same. You don't
yeah.
have to invent a new way to do a social media post or create a banner or something like that. It's the idea, but the rest is more or less work and processes and methodology and so on.
Yeah. Cool. So how did you end up doing this? What's your story?
Yeah. So it kind of it can start in two ways, but it's, I mean, I had a traditional advertising background from 15 years in various, mostly Scandinavian advertising agencies and got kind of tired of it. I had my own company for a while, and then I got hired in by Maersk to help them actually just be a creative guy, and I thought maybe that's fun. I was kind of sick of only doing the ideas and not really being able to follow things through. And I
Okay.
think I was 1 week in my job when my boss said to me, couldn't you go travel a bit and visit the various offices and figure out how we could optimize this? Because you seem to have some good ideas. And then I realized that all the different offices around the world, so Maersk is a big shipping company, logistics company, huge. um, Huge. It's like every 15 minutes there's a new ship porting somewhere in the world. So
There is. I was in logistics for a year and I got to learn about Maersk, and it was like it's mind-blowingly large.
yeah. So we also had kind of long days from people waking up in Tokyo and going to bed in LA. That's a long day.
Mm.
And I just realized around the world, all the different country offices were doing kind of the same thing. They were hiring in a local agency. They were doing a lot of versioning of that campaign. They didn't really align. We had a brand platform, but everybody was reading it like they, a brand like they wanted to. So,
Yeah.
and I came back and I said, I think we should start doing some of the stuff ourselves. And she said, okay, there's a team in Manila. You can get those people. There's like 10 people. Could you go visit and see if you could use any of those? And then I visit and they were good.
Right.
We hired in a lot more. They knew some from school, copywriters, and so on. And then she said, "Okay, let's open up in a month. Can you figure out how to do it?" And then it was really difficult figuring out who's doing what. How do you get the request in and so on? And I think we got swamped the first day by, I don't know, 65 campaigns that we needed to craft in a week or something like that.
Wow. Wow.
So tough, hit the ground running and a tough learning curve, but it really worked out really good. We made both a lot of content, saved a lot of money, but also actually leveraged the creative level because we could utilize the same ideas across markets and so on. So we also actually won creative awards for the stuff we did, and so both on social media and so on. So
wow. Who'd have thought container shipping could be so exciting?
yeah, but it's actually really exciting.
Oh, brilliant. So when did you go out on your own?
So I did this at the first time. I didn't really know. When you're working in a company, you don't really know if you're first mover or you're 5 years late on everything. So I didn't know anyone working in the same field,
Right.
and also too busy to reach out to people and try to figure out. There wasn't really a big network of in-house creatives
No.
in Scandinavia or mostly Europe, actually. It's 10, 15 years ago now, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But then I got the next job, and that's why I realized that it's 90% the same. I could pretty much just copy paste everything. So it was totally different. It was a fintech app enabling people to trade online. So it's completely different, but still global.
Yeah.
And I just realized it's the same. And then I got a new job working in a Danish brand called George Jensen, which is a jewelry brand.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, to die
luxury.
for. Yeah, gorgeous.
Completely different
Yeah.
craftsmanship, Scandinavian design, but the processes were pretty much the same. So that's kind of when I realized it. And then actually I thought I was going to do something else. But then when I stopped at George Jensen, I just kept getting offers from people that said, you've done 3 of those. Could you help us set up our in-house agency? And then I wrote a book about it called Moving In-House or Moving In-House. And then I actually met with the partner I have now, and we started Zite up. So that's what we've been doing. So we're entrepreneurs ourselves, building this business, and I think we are 85, 87 people now running 5 or 6 different agencies in Scandinavia. Now we also have employees in Germany and the UK. So
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
fun
fabulous.
story.
And it's a beautiful example of, when we work with clients, it's, what your process is, what's repeatable, what's scalable. Let's work that out, because that's how you're going to expand and grow and remain profitable and in control. And that is a beautiful example of noticing that, first of all, because some people would have been doing that and not even noticed it, that there was a pattern. So there's that entrepreneurial spirit in you, Kasper. Where does that come from, do you think?
I think I always had some kind of I don't know, maybe it's a disease or
I think it's some kind of curse.
syndrome of something.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely,
In
definitely.
reality, I think it actually came from I wanted to do the creative stuff, but got swarmed in weird requests, and everybody's doing, the same thing over and over. So I was actually trying to free up time for the creative team by saying, let's introduce some processes. And I also think it came, I have this double bass in the background from when I was young, and I used to play at a jazz club in Copenhagen. I'm not really that good, but I played with someone who was really good at playing the drums, and we were the sitting in band. So we were just there every Thursday night from 10 till 4 in the morning, and then a lot of famous good musician came in and jammed. So it was like an open night. I don't know what it's called. And in jazz, I mean, there are, I don't know, 40, 50 standards as such. And if you know those and you can kind of what do you call it, transform them up and down the scale, but normally people play them in the same scale, then you're pretty good to go. So, I mean, most nights we played the same 20 songs. And then the good musicians, they were doing all the advanced stuff. So they were doing the things on top of the processes, so to
Right.
speak. We're just playing the standard, so to speak. And I think that's kind of the same. So you have this, if you know the song, the standard, then it's much easier to jump out of it. And I think it's I guess then you're creative. The standard shouldn't be the creative part. That's why it's called the standard. I guess it's just the the normal song.
Yeah, you're right. Several things in there actually. One, Copenhagen is my favorite Scandinavian city, Casper, by a long way. And they have the best shoe shop in the world there. I think it's called La Scarpa, funnily enough.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, do you know
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've spent some serious cash in there in the past. And secondly, it's really well known for jazz. My son was out there earlier this year, and he said there are about 7 or 8 really good jazz clubs. What
Well,
is it?
there is, yeah. This
Yeah.
one is really old. I don't think it's changed. I mean, I was in there couple of weeks back, and it looked exactly as I left it 15 years now, no, 40 years ago, almost now 30 years maybe.
Yeah.
So it looks like a jazz club. It's low stage, low light, a lot of you're still allowed to smoke, I think, and
Oh, goodness me.
yeah.
Goodness me,
So
it's old. It's
it
really
looks
old.
it hasn't changed in 15 years, 50 years or something like that. So
Oh, brilliant.
no,
Somebody once told me that the Danes were kind of the Italian equivalent of Scandinavians, that they're the flamboyant, trendy, fashionable, gorgeous ones. So I just thought that
I
was
think
quite,
the Norwegians and the Swedes, they kind of think we are loud and
yeah,
and all
yeah.
over the place. Yeah. So
Oh, I love it. I love it.
yeah.
So where the business has grown, which is fantastic. Where are you taking it? What are the plans?
So right now we are expanding into Germany and the UK, which is different. So in Denmark we are definitely first. We're also the first in opening this up in Norway and Sweden. Uh, I also think we are in Germany, which is it's tough driving
Yeah.
both a business and an entire industry. And every year we actually do this. I was looking around to find this report called the In-House Barometer, where we interview around 1,000 people around Europe, UK, the US, and Canada, to see where's in-house going, what issues are in-house teams having, and so on.
Mm.
And for the fourth year in a row, Scandinavia is the most conservative market. So it's really tough. And then in the UK, they had this model for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. So it's really another approach, which is interesting. And the German, what do you call it, labor market, it's very different in terms of employment and so on.
Right.
So, but I mean, we're growing here in Denmark, but it's a small market. Sweden as well, and Norway is not that big. It's similar to Denmark, but it's all focused around the southern part.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Not a lot happening on the Arctic Circle. I can
No,
imagine.
no,
Really.
no.
No, bit
It's
cold.
it's mostly oil, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Right, that's quite exciting. And if your business had a personality or a character, either who would it be or how would you describe it? As a creative, this should be easy for you.
Yeah, but I think most of it. So, as I said before, we are entrepreneurials, and actually, what we ended up, we started out, and we had like a photographer taking 5 photos of an open office landscape with people standing around a table, and they were so like everybody else.
Mhm.
So I think we ended up. I'm also drawing, so I ended up drawing a lot of illustrations, just picking black and one color, and then so that's kind of our tone of voice. It's a bit of cartoonish, and then I also write the copy, so it's a lot of plays on words with sight. So love at first sight, or inside out perspective, or so I think we are a bit, maybe the funny uncle, or sort of haha kind of agency, if that's our tone of voice. Try
Yeah,
to try to keep it personal, because I think it's, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it is. And when you're going in-house, that's somebody's brand, that's somebody's baby.
Yeah.
That's, often their brand often contains their secret sauce and it's quite emotional for people,
Yeah.
isn't it? So yeah, you can be fun and light-hearted, but you also have to um take it seriously, definitely, and take care over it.
Yeah, and then we have the whole, that's kind of maneuvering in this, because for some companies that we're in, we're site. So we are over in that corner with our branding and so on. For others, we kind of merge into theirs. So we are the energy, which that's the name of this energy company, NRGI
Oh yeah.
agency. So that's, we are their agency, and we don't really, brand ourselves. We're more like under the radar. So no, that's but so it's not necessarily important for us to be our company in within their company. Sometimes it's nice to be their agency.
Mm,
So, but it's
mm.
it's interesting also in terms of employer branding, and how are you connected and so on. So.
Yeah, really interesting. Definitely. All right. So if you had a purpose, Casper, in life, or I think the Hindus called it their dharma or their destiny, your destiny, what is it? What were you put on this earth to do you think?
Oh, that's a big one.
It
I
is.
would more say, like, in business, I think I spent the first 15 years always wondering if the next idea it could come.
Mm,
Always have this, I would say, I wouldn't say imposter syndrome, but how does this actually happen?
mm,
So a few years back, with the first book, I actually decided to try to figure out the mystery of creativity, and I
oh,
haven't figured out at all. But I actually, I'm getting closer, I think. So
okay.
so for a lot of things, I would say I would really, so I teach creativity and how to come up with mostly advertising ideas, and really try to demystify it. It's not a secret things that some people have. It's, for me, it's mostly a habit, and it's a process, which
Yeah,
sounds boring, but it's, a lot of people think about, inspiration, and I'll have to get this next idea and so on. And I think I think inspiration is for amateurs. I mean, the rest of us, we go to work, and we start developing ideas, and we come up with bad ones. We share them. We get something slightly better. We share the slightly better ones with the other people. We get something better. And once you reach 100 ideas, it's really difficult to get 100 bad ideas in a row.
yeah,
So if you keep going, then you will get great ideas. And if you keep sharing, not necessarily as a brainstorm, but with people you trust, build that trust, then you will come up with really great ideas. I'll honestly believe that. So,
no, I
so that's
totally.
I think that's my purpose, to say, calm down. It's just creativity.
I love that because so many people are scared of it, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've worked with lawyers and accountants and IT people, and they tell me I'm not creative. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Everybody's creative in some way or another. It's just maybe you've been told that creating a large document or a large spreadsheet isn't a creative process, but it's just as creative as coming up with an ad campaign idea.
I agree. Yeah.
Start from a blank sheet of paper and you've got to create something, haven't you?
Yeah. And then there are methods and tools you can use in order to get started, but it is, and I just think most people, they stop being creative at the age of, I don't know, 7 or 8, and they stop drawing and they stop playing with words in their head. And I think, why? Just keep going.
Keep going. Do you think we're just big kids, Kasper?
Yeah.
I never stop playing. Definitely never stop playing. I teach it when I'm teaching executives how to think strategically, because weirdly, loads of executives find it hard to think strategically. And I teach them how to do it. And I start with creativity. Yeah. So I take them through a process to get them, I call it thinking creatively on purpose. Yeah. And I get them using different parts of their brains. And once they do that, then actually coming up with a strategic plan comes like that, because I've taken them through a process instead of just going, I need a strategy. That's the hardest thing in the world, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe start somewhere else.
yeah, definitely. We need to start over here somewhere and then bring you back to that slowly. Yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, I could talk for a long time about mind and things like that, because, where do those ideas come from? But I think you're right that it's the preparation, it's the playing, it's the sharing, it's the conversation, and it kind of bubbles up, doesn't it? And then, go on.
No, but and then actually the other guy running the school of advertising, he had a funny saying the other day. He said, some people say less is more, but we actually say yes is more. So if you don't say yes, but you say yes and you keep going, and when someone says something, and we could do this, yes, and we could do that. So a lot of ways I would say yes is more. It's I stole it from him. So, but I kind of
yes and definitely people. I'm an NLP trainer, and that's one of the things. Like when you say "but," you negate the previous sentence, so you say "and" as well, because and it keeps it intact. And you build on an idea, and it's never either or. It's always let's have a bit of this and a bit of that. Yeah. Amazing. That's fantastic. Kasper, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you've got something to get to later on this afternoon. You're a very busy man.
Too busy.
But you look happy on it. You look well on it. It's obviously suiting you, or you're just a really good liar.
Oh, I love being busy. It's not that. So, it's finding the balance where you're not rushing through things, but I love doing things. So
Right. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, and best of luck with the business.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to hear what people think afterwards.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass.